Hello everyone, this is Slatter with GTA Sports and welcome to another edition of GTA's ISO Mode. If you haven't already, make sure you follow GTA Sports Network and GTA Heat Check on all social media platforms. Like, comment, and subscribe to GTA Sports on the YouTube. And don't forget GTASportsnet.com for all things in the world of sports. Today we're going to be talking about the Los Angeles Lakers. And to be quite honest with you, I'm going to let the man himself give you his take on why the Lakers have been struggling these past few games. So check out what LeBron James had to say after losing a very close game, 112 to 113 to the Philadelphia 76ers. Check out the clip, and I'll talk to you guys and give you my reaction after he gets done, telling you why the Lakers have been struggling. Check this out.
We got to stop, give ourselves a chance to win the game. We didn't.
I know a lot of focus will be on that final possession, but as you know, you can see the game in its entirety. Coach mentioned moments ago, too, just being better, whether it's finishing or not. How do you kind of assess the game as a whole?
Just frustrating, getting those positions and not being able to come out with the victory.
LeBron, it's always kind of tough to know maybe in the moment whether or not there should be a timeout there. Is it when you weigh the factors, what does that kind of look like on that last possession?
We got to stop, give ourselves a chance to win. We didn't execute.
We spoke about closing lineups after the Dallas game, and obviously you guys are still trying to get the continuity, get the minutes together.
Different one tonight?
Nothing one night.
No answer. Whatever you about to ask.
Well, the question was going to be, even in a failure to execute or something that goes the wrong way, how does that add to the overall picture in getting that experience in these late game situations?
And what is the overall picture?
I guess the hope would be that you get through so many different situations that at some point, no matter who is involved,
we're playing good basketball. We're just not winning games.
The man said it best. They're playing good basketball, but they're not able to finish the games. They're not playing to execute down the stretch. Russell took an opportunity to win the game that the coach said he would take 10 times any day of the week and twice on Sunday. I don't fully agree with that. You got Russell Westbrook driving to the basket with Joel Embiid guarding him face up. A prime Russell Westbrook, maybe. But when you have all these other players open, he could have dined it out to Schroeder, who was on the opposite baseline that he was standing from because he cut from the left side of the court. Schroeder was standing on the right baseline for an open three. LeBron was in the middle. I mean, you had four other players that you could have possibly opened the floor up. When you slash, the defense closes in on you. So you got two or three players basically triple covering you, and it was the end of the game. So refs rarely ever blow the whistle when it's the last 5 seconds of the game. Now, if this was the first quarter, maybe even the third quarter, you might have had a chance. But in the game decisions and late whistle calls under 5 seconds, they don't really like touching those because those can be very controversial. And, of course, it can overturn the outcome of the game in the blink of an eye. So I don't know what Russ was thinking in that moment. I don't know if he had a flashback. I thought he was still the prime Russell Westbrook from OKC, MVP Russ who can take anybody to the rack and jump over him because his athleticism was just at an all-time high. But he is no longer that player. He can barely get above the rim at this point. Even the few lobs that LeBron did get to him throughout the game, I mean, the dunks weren't nearly as impactful as they were 5, 7, even 10 years ago. And it's no disrespect to Russ. I mean, his style of play doesn't age well. And he's never been a pure shooter. As a ball player myself, I can relate. Some of us got that pure shot and some of us have to work for it. In Russ's case, when he did have good shooting stretches, he had to work extremely hard just to get decent shooting average. In this game, they should have won. I mean, if we want to go back a few games, they could have won the game against Dallas, which ended in double overtime last Thursday. And, of course, they got, I don't want to call it a blowout, but it was a decent margin. They lost almost by 20 points against the Denver Nuggets a week ago. So their last win was January 7th against the Kings, and that was a nail-biter in itself. So when they asked LeBron these questions post-game, everybody knows LeBron hates losing. Hell, I would too at this point. Being the player that he is, being extremely scrutinized by the media when things don't work out, him not taking the final shot. And they're going to find so many things to pick and pull apart this particular game and the outcome of it because, quite frankly, the Lakers need to win. I mean, right now, Instead of them being a couple games back, this team here has fallen to 13th in the West due to this loss at 19 and 24. See, in the West, you lose one game, you fall 2 or 3 spots. The Lakers were standing right outside the play-in, and the teams that are above them, I've said it before on a previous video that we put out about the LA Lakers when AD went down. The teams above them, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Phoenix Suns, and the Utah Jazz, that's your 12, 11, and 10th places in the West. The Lakers, technically, roster-wise, are better than the 3 of these teams when you look at the roster for roster. There's no excuse why the Lakers are at the bottom of the West. They shouldn't be here. Worst play-in, you should be 9th or 10th. At best, you should be right where the Clippers are at 23 and 22. And they're in the 6th position right beneath the Mavericks and right above the Minnesota Timberwolves. You're going to sit here and tell me that the Lakers can't have a better record than the Minnesota Timberwolves that have been without Cat for over a month. You're telling me that the struggling Warriors are still better than the Lakers when Steph was out for a decent stretch of time and he's not himself right now, still recovering from a shoulder injury. The Trailblazers, Dame just dropped a 50-piece the other night. I'm going to do a video on them later. And they lost. So you mean to tell me that the Lakers are not better than these 4 or 5 teams I just mentioned? It's crazy because roster for roster, they're better than these teams. They should be winning these games. And that's why LeBron's so frustrated because he understands that ultimately the Lakers should be winning more games than this. So now they're 11 games back from the number 1 seed in the West. And the West is tough. This ain't the East. The East, you can lose a stretch of games and still keep your position. The West, all the teams are equally competitive. A lot of these teams have the same record. They're tied for positions. All it takes is one win or loss to drop 2 or 3 spots. And the way things are looking going in the All-Star break, I'm going to break it down for you as of this recording. In their conference, they're 8 and 15. At home, they're 10 and 10. That makes them a 500 team. And on the road, they're 9 and 14. And in the last 10, they're 6 and 4 with 3 losses in a row. 3-game losing streak. These numbers are not going to get you to the play-in nor a playoff seed, which sounds like LeBron's 20th year in the league is going to be a lost season unless some drastic changes are made. Now, I'm going to do another video on the Pacers this week, but just a little nugget of information is they're still open to the Lakers. The deal is still on the table if they want to pull the trigger to go get Miles Turner and Buddy Hield out of Indiana before the trade deadline, which is coming up rather quickly. There have been some other names that have been mentioned that they're looking at again. There's the D Rose out of New York. You still got Jordan Clarkson in Utah. Kyle Kuzma still, his name is still being thrown in trade rumors out of DC, possibly making a comeback to the Lakers. I'm hearing reports they worked out DeMarcus Cousins. They could be possibly bringing back Carmelo Anthony. There's a lot of players that are in the conversation to come to the Lakers. The Zach LaVine, because he's not happy in Chicago. Something has to be done. This roster as it stands is not getting the job done. Anthony Davis, again, when you need him the most, is, as Charles Barkley calls him, street clothes. He's in street clothes. He's not playing. No disrespect to Thomas Bryant. He's doing what he can on offense, but he's not the defensive juggernaut that you need at the 5. And then, of course, Damian Jones is Damian Jones. He's not really the answer to their problem at the 5. My recommendation, Rob Pelinka, go get Dwight Howard out of Taiwan. You did great with him. You can't get JaVale because he got paid. He's good. He's down there with Luka doing his thing in Dallas. So, at the very least, try to rebuild the championship core that you had in 2020 in the bubble and go for it, because at this point, LeBron is committed to you for 2 more seasons, with the 3rd season being an option, player option, of course. So you got to make the best of LeBron while you can. Congratulations to LeBron. Now he's up there with Kareem. He cleared the 38,000 points. So he's up there with Kareem now. He hasn't broken the record yet. He still has. If he averages 35, 38 points, he'll break Kareem's all-time scoring record with the next 10 to 15 games, barring injury. So he's well on his way to breaking that record before the season is over, as we predicted. He doesn't want to do it in a losing season. So the Lakers got to make some changes. The front office needs to make some calls, get ready to trade those picks. 2027, 2029 first-round picks, they need to go. If you want to keep Russ, that's cool, but you got to move some of the role players, the Kendrick Nunns, the Wayne Gabriels, the Players that, are not really helping you win games. They're just kind of just going along for the ride. You got to make some change. Someone's got to give, because you shouldn't have lost that game to Philly. That game was in your hands and you let it slip away. And Coach Darvingham, you're doing your thing, but you technically should have called a timeout. When you saw the mismatch of Russell Westbrook and Joel Embiid, you should have called a timeout. I know you pushing Russ and you're rooting for him. You want him to be the Russ of old, but any coach would tell you they would have called a timeout. Mismatch, just reset the offense, give yourself a better chance at a better shot with a better player that can finish at the rim. And this has been another ISO Mode. Make sure you follow me and Slatter on all social media platforms. Follow GTA Sports Network, GTA Heat Check, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to GTA Sports on the YouTube. This is Slatter with GTA Sports, and until next time,